Right, good evening, everybody at home, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, whoever might be listening, whoever else might be listening, I don't know. This is episode 62 of the Post Concussion Syndrome Awareness Podcast. And we're lucky to be back here for the second time in a week, which is always nice. And tonight we have back lovely Kim Birkhimer and Blaine Bman Benson from Idaho in the USA. How are you guys both doing tonight?
We're doing great. It's great to be back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to see you.
And Blaine's doing particularly well, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Um, she's been taking care of me, and I've been just doing so well. I was having a tough time, and I'm back. She
Yeah.
started giving me neurofeedback and all this personal care. I've been just doing great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So we've got a hell of a lot to talk about tonight. Not only neurofeedback, we're going to talk about NAD, nicotinamide, and the benefits of that. Um, aphasia. Yeah, that's my aphasia moment for the evening over. I always get two or three
Seem to
things.
be doing well, David.
I was like, aphasia, what am I meant to say? Because in terms of post-concussion syndrome, traumatic brain injury and so on, aphasia is one of those things that often gets missed or overlooked. And in my life, it's been quite funny in the past, reading signs, I have to read stuff two or three times, or if I hear something, I have to, did I hear that right? And then sometimes I say or type, the worst thing is when I'm trying to type or text and the words just come out totally wrong. And people are like, what are you on about? And that's aphasia. So anyways, yeah, I think this is the third time that we've had you both on, and I'm blessed to have you back as well. Would you each mind telling the people at home, just in case they haven't seen the previous episodes, a little bit about yourselves, please? Beginning with, well, ladies first, beginning with Kim.
Old ladies first.
Yeah.
Um, so I am a natural therapies practitioner, and I became one largely because of Blaine. Although after getting into it, pursuing it, I realized that I needed it as much as he did. So sort of the backstory on that is that I met Blaine 15 years ago. At the time, I was about 11 years. No, let me back up. I think we met you in 2009, right? So I was about 6 years into a diagnosis of um, what is considered to be a blood cancer and had been on oral chemo for the duration. And I had sold my business and I'd come home and we had met Blaine through the business. He came and worked for us a little bit. He was just doing day labor, just trying to scrape pennies together to, keep himself sustained. And this was a family business and my husband was there. And we decided that we needed to help Blaine. And that's pretty much where this all got started. And I sold the business because I couldn't do it anymore. And came home, was sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And Blaine and my husband were out doing their thing, palling around, doing projects and working with each other and having fun, right? Or having fun. Blaine was still very, very deep into PTSD and having a lot of problems back then. And we were just trying to keep him between the rails for the most part.
Mm.
So while they were out doing what they were doing, I was sitting on the couch waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I started researching what's out there that's non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical that could help somebody with traumatic brain injury. And
Hmm.
as a result of that, in 2009, I became aware of a technology called neurofeedback, which is basically a biofeedback therapy that directly interacts with the brain. It is non-invasive. It reads the output of the signals of the brain, the frequencies of the brain,
Hmm.
and then feeds them back to the individual. So it's like holding up a mirror, and it allows the individual to see the brain to see what it's doing in almost real time. And then with that information, it knows what it needs to do to self-correct. So
Oh.
aphasia is often directly related to dysregulated frequencies in the brain. Okay. So speech problems, movement problems, mood problems, sleep problems, all of these things can be directly related to dysregulation of brainwave activity.
Hmm.
And the brain is just basically struggling every day to keep a lid on that dysregulation and keep it from taking over. And so it's a very stressful place to be.
Mm.
Blaine had had his first head injury at the age of 4. uh, he basically was stuck emotionally at the age of 4. And his life kind of went off the rails as a result. It was what was that, 1962? Nobody knew at the time that the brain was plastic. Everyone thought the brain was set in concrete back then.
Hmm.
And he was just, he ended up with a plate in his head after his first injury. It was a fall, and left to heal as best he could. I mean, that was essentially what they did, was they put a plate in his head
Yeah.
and
Wow.
let him run. You want to comment?
Oh,
Yeah.
after I got my growing up, what I did was I didn't really think about the head injury. I just became an alcoholic, and I was just trying to self-medicate. So
Mm.
I spent till I was 45 self-medicating, and I finally started trying to get sober, and and it was tough. But I've had so many seizures, and I didn't realize what had happened to me is I had a heart defect called bradycardia, and I didn't realize it went undiagnosed until I was 54 years old. And so I was falling down and getting up and not realizing that my heart was stopping. And
Wow.
so I was waking up behind the toilet. I was waking up behind the dryer when the lint comes out. I woke up all over the place. And Kim finally got me to a neurologist, and the neurologist said, these seizures don't sound like seizures. And so he hooked me up to this thing called CardioNet, and it monitored my heart for about 3 months, and nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, Kim got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, get Blaine to the hospital. His heart stopped 3 times for 17 seconds each. And so they got me a pacemaker, and I haven't fallen down
Wow.
since.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Well, thank the Lord for that.
So
Yeah.
that's the condensed version. In the meantime, his whole life went off the rails. I mean, he had trouble at school. He was in trouble all the time. He was so
I can believe
dysregulated.
that.
Yeah, dyslexia, ADHD, just off the
I broke
rails.
both my arms at the same time.
Yeah. So
Oh my
so,
Lord.
and ultimately he talks about being self-medicated, which he did self-medicate, but it was because the medications that they had him on, it's a fairly common cocktail of psych meds. That there's like 13 different meds in the US. I don't know what happens in England, but in the US it's pretty much a
Similar.
cocktail that everybody who's got a head injury ends up on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it does its own kind of damage. And it doesn't solve any problems, really. I mean, it may make you feel good for a minute or two, but it is doing damage the whole time and making the problem worse. And so we were kind of beginning to get, some clue about this, basically. But our journey together has it's made a huge difference in his life. Okay. But it's been a total journey of discovery and learning and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And I have gotten as much out of this journey as he has. I mean, it is virtually made me who I am today, which is a natural therapies practitioner. Okay.
Yeah.
That practices at least two modalities, the primary ones being neurofeedback and a science called nutrigenomics, which is the science of compounding specific nutrients to flip switches on the genome to actually,
Yeah,
uh,
okay.
allow the genes to express normally, right? It's like a modulator for the genes. They get shut down through trauma, through aging, through all kinds of things, and it's a normal process. But ultimately, it can be far worse for somebody that has problems like somebody with head injuries does. Okay.
Yeah, of
And they're
course.
exposed to so many toxins and such a life of stress and more stress and more stress and more stress just trying to cope. So I've learned a lot as a result of this. And the two things that I think I would say to people as a result of everything I've learned is I'm going to make that three things. Okay. Three things. One is seek out neurofeedback if you can possibly find it and possibly afford it. It's not a cheap therapy, but there are practitioners who practice it. They are usually, or I would say often, they are psychologists with PhDs, and or natural therapies practitioners of some
Mm.
sort. And there are two different kinds of neurofeedback that tend to suit those different types of people who are doing that kind of therapy. So me, I'm a natural therapist. I'm not a doctor, but I use the type of neurofeedback that is a more organic form of neurofeedback. It doesn't
Yeah.
require so much science knowledge. The system is it's more modern. The system is more engineered to make it accessible for people to be able to use it at home if they want to use it at home. And that's the kind of neurofeedback that I do. It is also possible to use it at the highest level, where you can do brain maps and you can do all these kinds of things. But
Mm.
those are not necessary with the type of feedback that I do. The
Okay.
legacy type of feedback was originally developed by NASA. It was developed to help astronauts perform well under intense stress. So what it does is it makes your brain more resilient. It makes your brain better able to connect the dots. It brings everything into balance, and it helps you perform better under stress. In fact, it helps you get into the zone and stay in the zone. So you don't necessarily need to be broken to benefit from neurofeedback. You can be simply an elite athlete or a musician or somebody like that, or a student who wants to perform better. And so
Mm.
that's the nature of this technology. It's biofeedback directly addressing the brain. And when we found it, Blaine, when he spoke, he had aphasia. And he would open his mouth and throw out what seemed like a 500-piece puzzle. And so he knew exactly what he was saying, and we didn't. Okay. And so
Yeah.
it was, we were constantly trying to understand what he was talking
I
about.
sounded like Gerald on Clarkston Farm.
Exactly.
If you've ever watched Clarkston Farm.
Oh no, no, I haven't, but I can get.
You
You know,
have to check it
I've
out.
built in
It's
this
on
stuff as
YouTube.
well.
It's not on YouTube. It's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
Oh,
It's a great program. Jeremy Clarkson, Jeremy Clarkson, I'm guessing.
yeah. Well, yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he does the car shows. He's an English journalist, and he lives in the Cotswolds, and he's got a farm, and he's his guy that does his stone wall work is Jeremy, and he's got aphasia, and
Oh,
so
okay.
nobody
Gerald.
understands Gerald.
Gerald.
Nobody
Yeah,
understands Gerald.
I'll look
But
it up later.
anyway, I could help Gerald. Let me put it that way. I could help Gerald.
But you could.
I could help Gerald be more fluid and articulate and understandable, basically. And that's what happened with Blaine in a relatively few number of sessions. Okay.
Well,
It was
that's,
so it's such it essentially what it does is it allows the brain to relax, dramatically releasing stress. And typically
yeah.
a routine of therapy or a protocol of therapy would be 20 sessions, 2 sessions a week for 10 weeks. Okay.
All right.
And in my world, I charge $1,300 for that. So that's about $65 a session.
Wow.
If you go to a guy who's practicing the other kind, he's going to charge you $500 for, and this is in the United States, obviously, he's going to charge you $500 for a brain map. He's going to evaluate the brain map, and he's going to decide what the protocol needs to be. In other words, you've got too much beta brain wave, you've got not enough alpha brain wave. So we're gonna manipulate those brain waves and get them to either produce more or less. And so it's very influenced by external
Hmm.
choice, okay, of the practitioner. He
Yeah.
evaluates the brain map, he decides on the protocol, he sets the sensors to drive that protocol, and then they do 10 sessions in a row, exactly that protocol, okay?
Right.
So, and
Okay.
this is where the first problem that I have with it comes. I did practice this type of feedback in the beginning,
Hmm.
and that's what Blaine got in the beginning. But the problem with that is your brain is not static.
No,
Your
no.
brain is constantly shifting and moving. So they take a snapshot of what it's doing and then decide on a protocol based on that snapshot and then push that protocol. Okay. And then take another snapshot at 10 sessions in, reset the protocol, and then push that protocol. And so to me, that's not organic. So the type of therapy I use is called non-dynamical, I'm sorry, dynamical nonlinear. The other is non-dynamical linear. I do dynamical nonlinear. So
Oh,
basically, I put sensors on the head in the same place on everyone. I don't do brain maps because I don't want to charge them $500 for something they don't really need. Okay. So a sensor goes here and here. These two basically are reading the output of the brainwave signals. A sensor goes on each ear. These two tell these two where they are in
okay.
space. And then
Yeah.
there's a ground. Those 5 sensors are able to access the entire frequency spectrum. They gather the information, they run it through the computer and feed it back to the individual who's being trained, essentially. This is brain training on steroid. It is not a medical treatment.
I got you.
It's
Yeah.
training of the brain. It
Mhm.
takes advantage of neuroplasticity. It helps your brain achieve neuroplasticity and to shift gears in ways that make it more effective. When the brain sees what it is doing, the reaction is, oh my God, why am I working so hard? Because I'm working so hard to just try and keep a lid on everything because I don't know what's going on, right? So why
Mhm.
am I working so hard? Now I see what I can do. Let me reorganize to do this more efficiently. And so it starts to lay down new pathways. And as it
Mhm.
lays down those new pathways, and those pathways get stronger over time, the old pathways that are built under duress with a lifetime of stress piled on begin to release their grip, and the new pathways eventually become the new default pathways. And
Wow.
in the process, you get much better coherencies between the hemispheres. You
Got
get greater balance of the frequency activity. Mood improves. Fuses get much shorter. You know how you got a short fuse, and sometimes you don't understand why you get so angered so easily. That fuse gets much longer. You become much able to tolerate stress,
you. Mhm.
okay, and to react more or actually respond versus react, right?
Yeah.
So now
Oh,
it
yeah.
it buys you time. You can see stress coming. You can kind of observe what's happening. You don't feel like you have to get in the middle of it and solve it immediately
And
and
react.
interfere with it, right? You can sit back and you can watch it happen and watch it happen, watch it resolve itself and watch it go by. And you can marvel at the fact that you didn't have to get involved in any of it.
Well, that's
That's what it gives
marvelous.
you.
Marvelous. Thank you for taking the
Okay.
time to explain that to us. There's so much that I didn't know. Every podcast I do, I'm learning as well. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think since we had you on about 3 and a bit years ago, episode 58, we had a lot of comments and good feedback from that podcast. I think we talked
Awesome.
about oxidative stress and things then as well.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
going to talk about that some more. Yeah.
yeah, so just before we get on to your second point, Kim,
Okay.
Blaine, how do you feel about neurofeedback now, and how do you think
Oh,
it?
I like it. I need to tune up every now and then. I've had a lot of sessions, but Kim will come out and I'll be working in the kitchen and she'll see and then I'll quit and think I'm done and all the cupboards will be open and she'll go, oh, somebody needs some neurofeedback. So she'll drag me in the back and hook me up and give me some neurofeedback. But I'm constantly getting extra sessions, getting tune-ups, you
So I
know.
will say
Oh,
this,
good.
okay? There have been long periods of much improved wellness for Blaine. In the course of this last 15 years, John died, and Blaine was very, very close to John, and that was very stressful for him. So people with
Yeah.
traumatic brain injury tend to be more vulnerable to stress, so they can become dysregulated.
Mhm.
Uh, when at all possible, the type of feedback that I do is a system which anybody can own. It's not cheap, but is a system that they can own. They can buy it, they can keep it in their house. And I do kind of recommend that for people with brain injury because that will allow them to then take care of themselves when they need to. It also allows them to take care of their family because if you're living with your family and you have brain injury, your family is probably maybe not as stressed out as you, but they're stressed. And everybody can benefit from this. And it tends to, people that are fighting a lot you can't imagine that living with somebody is difficult. And so it creates a lot of tension.
Yeah.
But when everybody gets some neurofeedback, everybody's nervous system calms down. And so everybody tends to put down their weapons. People have time to respond versus react, and peace can reign over the land. Okay. So it's a
That's good.
very, very useful tool for the whole family. It can help kids in their schoolwork, going through puberty, all kinds of things like this. Obviously, it helps with aphasia. Worked with a lot of people who've had strokes and have aphasia, have Parkinson's-like symptoms, have balance issues, all these kinds of things. Let me see, I got a system and I got certified and I started doing neurofeedback back in 2009. And I didn't learn about nutrigenomics until 2013. And in that time, Blaine calmed down dramatically. His speech normalized, his walking normalized. A lot of people with head injuries have a very stiff gait. You can kind of see them coming down the street. They have movement issues, right? All those movement issues resolve, right? So people with Parkinson's are very unstable on their feet. They get more stable on their feet, so they're not so afraid of falling. So all of that can happen. It's very good with any kind of neurodegenerative type of an issue. If people want to explore it, I don't know if there are charitable organizations in England or other places in the world where you can't get it. You may or may not be able to get it through medical care. Some states in the United States cover it under medical insurance, some don't.
Churches might be able to help.
Churches might be able to help. You might be able to do fundraising, whatever. I'm just saying think creatively about this.
No, unfortunately, not over here in the UK. We're years away from the type of system that you've utilized there. I mean, yeah, it sounds fantastic.
It's absolutely available in England.
Oh yeah, it's available to buy. Yeah, even when I can afford that, I would definitely consider.
Exactly.
For now, I'm generally having like rhodiola in the morning, and when I've got it, ashwagandha in an evening.
That's good. Yeah.
And sometimes a bit of GABA at night before sleep, and that's my. I mean, my aphasia is probably not as bad as I think it is, but I probably focus too much on it. Now I understand more about it. I tend to take it with a pinch of salt and take it as funny. If I read a sign and a news article, it says something totally different. It usually turns out as something funny in my brain, and then I laugh at it, and then look at it again and go, "It didn't say anything like you thought it did." Well, I'm not as bad as I was, but I'm still aware of it as well. I've got some receptive, a little bit transmissive, but then my eyesight's, I need new glasses, so that's probably explains why some of my texting is probably a bit off, misspelled.
And then there's your spell check.
Yes,
half the time.
My phone I've got now is like 5 years old, so it's got really old spell check in it. So it's been programmed with all kinds of bad words that you don't want to know. So anyway, right. So
anyway, that's the potential of neurofeedback.
Yeah, and please,
and it's available. It's people can own it even in England. I'm aware of it. I'm the company that I get it from. It's called Zengar, Zengar, and the equipment is Neuroptimal, Neuroptimal, Neuroptimal. And you can look it up on the internet and learn about it. At least learn about it. And then some people, not everybody that has a head injury has financial problems. Some people are in very good situations, and this is it's like hyperbaric oxygen. This is one of those therapies that, over time is hugely valuable. And it's the major one that works super, super well. It may not make you perfect, but it will make you much better. It will make you much, much better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so there's that. Oxidative stress is associated with the nutrigenomics. Which is the use of herbal compounds to flip switches on gene expression. Okay. With the goal being to activate certain systems in the body, which are also healing systems. And if I can say one thing that kind of sums it all up is heal the cell to be well, right? And one of the major issues with brain injury is inflammation, because initial impact causes inflammation. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the fact that it causes inflammation, what it's actually doing, that's cellular damage that is the root cause of inflammation. It's damage to the cell by exposure to oxygen. First of all, we all breathe, so we're all damaging our cells by breathing. Oxygen is the fuel for our cells. Oxygen and nutrients are the fuel for our cells, right? And so as we burn oxygen, just like as a combustion engine burns fuel, it creates the energy to make us go, but it is also spitting out exhaust. Okay.
Yeah.
And that exhaust is damaged cells that get burned in the process. And as they build up in our body, that causes inflammation. That's called oxidative stress. It is the root cause of inflammation. And so then add on top of that things like brain injury, add on top of that things like chronic stress, add on top of that exposure to toxins and medicines and things like that. All of that piles on. And then add on top of that, that when you have that brain injury, you have that initial impact, which creates oxidative stress. And then they don't really treat for it. They treat for the
Oh,
injury
they
and
do.
try to repair the injury, oftentimes unsuccessfully, maybe put a plate in your head like they did with Blaine, and then send you on your way. And that cellular damage over time builds on itself. And in building on
Yes.
itself, it's creating more and more oxidative stress and more inflammation. And that inflammation, you can feel the pressure building in your head.
Mm.
You know it's there, but you don't know what it is. You go to the doctor and you ask the doctor, how do I fix that? And the doctor's saying, I don't see anything, right? And often the same thing is true with frequency dysregulation. They don't see anything because they're not looking for frequency dysregulation.
No.
Okay. So,
Mm.
so the second point is reduce inflammation. Eat an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay. If you can have access to some of the nutrigenomics that I have, great. But if you can't, find herbs that are designed to reduce inflammation. So curcumin is one,
Yeah.
right? It's
I,
very effective. And it is one of the ingredients in our what's called a NRF2 activator. So
okay.
NRF2 is the pathway in your cell that's responsible for the anti-inflammatory. It's the pathway that works with the anti-inflammatory uh, um, genes. Okay, there's a list of genes. There's about 500 of them. It's called the antioxidant response element, and it activating those genes regulates chronic inflammation and oxidative stress in your body. So
Yeah.
NRF2 is the pathway to do that in
Right.
every cell in your body. So if you can activate that NRF2 pathway, you're now activating that range of genes that are responsible for your body producing more glutathione, more superoxide dismutase, more catalase. These are all the big antioxidants that your body produces naturally. So a NRF2 activator like the one I have is scientifically proven to increase glutathione in your body by 300%.
Nice.
Okay. Um, and that's a lot. That means 40% reduction in oxidative stress in 30 days. In
Massive.
30 days. And then it's progressive from there. So in 120 days, you're reducing it by 70%
Wow.
and onward. So I've been taking these now since 2013. What's that? 12 years. Blaine's been taking it for the same amount of time that I have. And with that, we manage the inflammation in our body. That's a very anti-aging thing to do, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm 69. Blaine is
67 next month.
67 next month.
Fine.
I am now, let's see, I have to do the math. I was given a 15-year prognosis, and I was 11 years into it when I started taking these products. Okay.
Okay.
I quit all the oral chemo. I continued to take it for a year after I started taking these products. I quit the oral chemo at 11 years in. So I was 10 years into it when I started taking them. I was 11 years in when I quit the chemo, and that was 2014.
Mm.
So I am now 6 or 7 years post prognosis.
Yeah.
I've exceeded my Western medicine sell-by date by 6 or 7 years. I take zero pharmaceuticals. Blaine
No.
now takes zero pharmaceuticals. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and
Good
this
for
is
me.
what has enabled us to do this combination of things. Okay.
Little
Yeah.
flaxseed oil.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I would suggest, just
Right.
as a category, so you're going to reduce inflammation, heal the gut.
Oh,
You
yes.
must heal the gut.
Oh,
Okay. So, and that a lot of healing the gut involves reducing inflammation.
yes.
Um, so uh, I'll just tell you the ingredients that are in our Nerf2 activator, and then I'll move on. So in the Nerf2 activator is curcumin, ashwagandha, milk thistle, bacopa, and green tea. Okay. So all of those help with inflammation and can help with energy as well. Green tea obviously can help with energy. So if you may not get the same result, I'm not going to say that you'll be able to activate your body like you can if you take this Nerf2 activator. I highly doubt that you will be able to do that, but you will be able to make progress if you use these kinds of things.
Mm.
And they're a little bit more readily available, and you can kind of maybe budget for them a little easier.
Mm.
Uh, for us, I take everything I talk about because I am a big believer in us being a symptom of symptoms. I'm sorry, a system of systems, right?
Yes.
Which also leads to being a symptom of symptoms. Ironically enough, that was
Sounds worse.
I like that.
I know.
So we're a system of systems. And so the more systems that we can activate in our body, the better result we're going to get, right? The more different ways, the more different mechanisms of action that we can trigger, the more we can help our body. We do have to be careful with some herbs. Some herbs can be extremely powerful. So things like, for
Yeah.
example, dandelion tea, or dandelion, especially oils, okay? Very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
potent. Oils
Yes.
are very, very potent, but be careful and be mindful of what you're doing. But a
Mm.
cup of dandelion tea can be very anti-inflammatory, okay?
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like
Good
that.
stuff. It's good stuff.
I like to I like to mix things. And if I have a cup of green tea, I'll put ginger in it. I'll put clove
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
I'll
Make
put
a
cinnamon
cocktail,
in it, okay? And
yeah.
and try and make a tea that is very um
Healthy.
anti-inflammatory,
Healing, yeah, healing and
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory. That's always been my approach as well. If I'm using essential
Yeah.
oils sparingly, but yeah, if I make a tea, it's a cocktail of a few things that are all going to help me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
curcumin, I've run out of curcumin. Novus, I used to use Novusol curcumin recently. Run out recently. I
Yeah.
really started noticing the difference. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but the anti-inflammatory part of it is very important. And whereas I've
It's
been
very important.
obviously a practicer and proponent of fasting, water fasting down the years, that's another massive way to reduce inflammation, but it's not for everybody. I've been doing it over
Right.
20 years,
You
so
know, I
I learned it properly, but sometimes if
yeah,
you
it's not
natural
an easy
oil.
thing necessarily to
No, no,
do,
it's a discipline. It's like running
Yeah.
marathons. I always tell people you
Yeah,
can't just set off
exactly.
and run a marathon straight away because, like the original
Yeah.
chap that ran a marathon in Greece dropped dead at the end after 27 miles, and you don't want to do that. It defeats the point.
No. So guess why? Guess why? Oxidative stress. Okay. When you're running like that, you
Yeah,
are pumping a lot of
oh,
oxygen
yeah,
through your system.
yeah. It totally screwed him.
So if you already have oxidative stress and then you do that, you're at risk for collapse,
Oh yeah,
essentially,
yeah. He
right?
did. He did
So
died.
if you're an athlete and you're activating that pathway that reduces oxidative stress, then you're probably going to perform at a much higher level. And in
Yeah.
fact,
Oh,
that's exactly what happens. You do perform at a much higher level. Okay. So
yeah.
that's all about the inflammatory pathway in the body and how do you get to it and how can you activate it. Um, if you can activate another pathway, which is called the NRF1 pathway, that's the pathway that repairs and regenerates mitochondria. That's the energy producing pathway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are things you can do there also. And so this company that I'm affiliated with, we make activators, NRF2, NRF1, and NAD. So all three of them. And all three of those are pathways in the cell. And basically, when you target those pathways in the cell, you can activate that pathway.
Mhm.
Um, and when you activate all three pathways, the result is incredible. You get an extreme improvement in your health and well-being, which is what we saw in Blaine when he was about to be
Yeah.
diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Hmm.
As we activated each pathway, and we did this over a period of time because when I first got involved with this company, there was one product they had, and it was the Nerf 2, and it was their flagship product. And for those of you who are listening who don't know, there's a website out there called pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov.
Mhm.
okay, which is the National Library of Medicine in the United States, but it is widely used by the medical profession worldwide. It's a global repository of medical science, which
Oh.
I will say has, no, I won't. I'm verging on political there.
Sorry.
But I will say you can look up things like curcumin and chronic inflammation. You can look up NRF2 and oxidative stress. You can look up oxidative stress and inflammation. You can just look up oxidative stress and it'll bring up all the studies having to do with that issue. And the more studies there are, the more you can consider that this has a major impact on human health. Okay.
Yes, I mean,
So,
this is a deep dive for, I mean, a lot of people watching at home, some will have been recently injured, some maybe a year or so into the journey with it and not recovered, and others,
yeah,
I'm sure plenty that are watching will obviously be nodding and going, yeah, yeah, I'm going to check a lot of this out. So,
yeah, sure.
yeah, it's good to make it relatable to people as well, because in the early days, I don't think any of us really knew what to do, did we? And so,
Right.
I mean, that probably lead you on to the third point as well, wouldn't it? So, but
So
and
yeah, so I would say to everybody, if your doctor is recommending something to you, do your due diligence. If they're recommending a pharmaceutical to you, do your due diligence. You can go to AI and look up the side effects. Look up the long-term side effects, especially because I'll tell you, my experiences in studying side effects is the ones that are rare happen with long-term use.
yes,
Okay. And so if you've been on some kind of an antidepressant or sometimes a type of an antipsychotic or some type of other drug and it's you've been on it for a long term, you are very vulnerable to the rare
yes,
effects
yeah,
of these
loss,
pharmaceuticals. Okay. So just
loss,
be mindful of that. And you can look that up. You can search on AI and you can find out, you can search the name of your product and say, what are the long-term side effects of this product? What are the rare side effects of this product? What are the common side effects of this product? Just the
Mhm.
common side effects, right? So study up and decide if that's really something you want to introduce. And if you are thinking twice about it, I recommend that you look up what is a natural alternative to this product.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a
So if
really
there's
good point.
pharmaceutical, what's a natural alternative to this? What herbs help with depression? You can use that as a tool to really uh, help you, basically.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
really fantastic point, Kim. And that's the same thing happened to me with after 10 years on opioid painkillers, and I didn't even know about the rare side effects and stuff. But then,
yeah,
damage to kidney function, damage to my gut, which is permanent and
yeah.
probably very difficult to reverse. So it's having
So
this
I
knowledge,
will I will say that
isn't it?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just
I was just
having
going to say,
knowledge, and
yeah, yeah.
getting it out there to
I,
people.
I will say one of the things I've learned too, David, is that when they tell you it's permanent and there's no cure, don't buy it.
Oh,
Don't buy it. I,
yeah,
I, okay,
yeah,
coming from
sorry.
my own personal experience, I haven't cured myself, but I haven't been on chemo in a long time, and they told me I'd have to be on it all my life or until something better came along. Okay, so I'm just saying, keep an open mind, even with words like that, and
Yeah.
don't let it stop you from searching for alternatives and ways to do things.
Oh no,
Um,
yeah, ways to manage things. See, the kidney
yeah,
issues like with DO deficiency, diamine oxidase deficiency, which regulates the
yeah,
histamine mast cell system.
yeah,
So
yeah,
histamine
yeah,
intolerance is something that there's currently no solution to, apart from
yeah,
naturopathy and so
exactly.
on as well, which can
Yeah,
be quite expensive. And the other thing is, after my dad passed June 23, I got sick with diverticular disease from as an after
mhm,
effect of that, which is a disease of the bowel where the bowel lining
mhm,
swells out and so on. And there's no known cure for that. You can only manage it. So I've learned to manage both. And talking
yeah,
about health again, obviously
yeah.
good probiotics and are the right strains are good. I learned about something called TUDCA, which is a natural bile salt. So I was
Mhm.
struggling, like my gut inflamed. I was massively overweight and really struggling on energy and everything. But just a simple bile salt. I think it was, I heard it mentioned on Dr. Berg's channel. And I was like, oh, I'll try
Yeah.
it. And
I
within a
would
week,
say that anybody who's had a gallbladder removal
oh, yeah.
must take Tudka.
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Within a week or so, my God, my
Yeah,
whole digestion just went back to normal, regular. Before I was like, am I going to go to the toilet today? Is this going to happen? And then it was
yeah,
like regular clockwork. Got up one, two, three times a day. Sorry to be crude, but it was
yeah,
like bile salts
yeah,
because the bile's produced in your liver and your bile duct there, but it also bile is produced in your intestines. So if you don't have enough of it, then if you take the TUDCA, it's natural bile salt, it's just what your body makes anyway. You're just giving it a booster.
yeah,
Then all of a sudden
exactly.
everything just goes through like clockwork. Everyone's going
Yeah,
like, oh, I'll have to ask my doctor about that. Oh, is it? It's like,
yeah,
no, this is biosalts that your body makes already. This is natural stuff. Oh, but it might not be safe. Well, that's like saying, well, can I drink water?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah,
I gave up after
yeah.
a while. I was like, I'll give up. You're taking something
Well,
natural. But anyway, Tutka's wonderful
well, let's
stuff.
say this.
It's brilliant.
YouTube is another great resource,
Yeah, it is.
and Dr. Berg has tons of videos on YouTube.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
so you can always go to YouTube and search on Dr. Berg and Tudka and watch what he has to say. He is a doctor.
He's a
Okay.
functional medicine
So
doctor of the highest regard. He's amazing. And there's plenty of others.
exactly.
There's Greg Downing in the UK. There's the German chap, Klinghardt, Dr. Klinghardt, and others.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
just, their knowledge is off the scale compared to regular doctors in hospitals and GP surgeries
Yeah.
and doctor surgery.
Yeah.
Their knowledge is off the scale. They actually get people well. They are
Right.
trying to do that.
Exactly.
They might charge a lot of money, awful lot of money for it, but they know inside out the human body and
They are
what's.
wellness practitioners. They are wellness doctors. They're not sickness doctors. They are
Oh,
wellness
wellness
doctors.
doctors, yeah, like the Chinese.
Right. So, yeah,
Anyway,
I'm a
sorry, you
believer.
continue.
So basically, I'm in complete agreement. I think collagen is also very good for your gut, but
Yeah,
you need a good collagen. Again, with Blaine, the thing that's really worked best has been this liquid collagen. It's a
yeah.
marine collagen. I
Mm,
will tell you that
mm,
uh, the molecule size matters. And with powdered collagens, the molecules are very large, and
yeah,
often people have a hard time getting them through your gut. Okay. So with a liquid collagen, it's much more digestible. It gets to where it needs to go, and you get a better result. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about collagens. Again, we have one that's very good. It's again fairly pricey. All these things that you get what you pay for, right?
yeah.
But there are things out there that are good. There's still, curcumin's not exactly cheap, right?
No, it's not.
Uh,
No.
so, and sometimes trying to formulate your own can be far more expensive than buying something that's pre-formulated that's got science behind it. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind too. David, I'll put a link if where will you post this? Where can I
Oh,
find this? I can put a
oh,
link in the bottom
the main place
and send it to you.
Videocast goes out is on Videocast. It's on Spotify. I'm starting to put them on YouTube now as well, but it goes out on
Okay.
iTunes, Apple Music, whatever you call it. It goes out on Audible, Google Podcasts, and all the other ones. I can't even remember all the names now. There's about 12 or 13 of them. It goes out as an audio podcast, but mainly it's on Spotify because Anchor and Spotify have stood by me all these years and give me a platform for free.
Yeah.
YouTube, I didn't put them on there before, but they're going on there now, and I'll try and catch up with those. But mostly Spotify. So yeah, if you
Well,
send me some links
if I
afterwards,
send you a link, are you able to add it to the bottom of
yes,
the video? Okay, I'll do
absolutely,
that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because
I'll do
I'll
that.
publish this podcast tomorrow now, and I'll put the links in for you. So if you include any social media links or things, or any links to products and things, and I'll put them all
Yep,
in the description so people can click on them as well. No
I'll
problem.
do that for you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
So, yeah, gut health, just like you said, prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics. Uh, we've got some good
okay.
products along those lines as well.
Mhm.
Um, that,
Now, well,
so
now,
gut health, inflammation, and frequency
yeah,
balancing.
a strange thing is, a friend of mine a long while back, when I was having these first issues with diverticular disease, and I was all swollen up, I was about 2 or 3 stone overweight, and a friend said to me, "Oh, I should try the carnivore diet." Now, if previously I'd been back in the day, I'd been vegetarian for 16 years. That didn't really do a lot of good for me in the end. I went back to eating
Yeah.
fish and then eventually meat, and then did a ketogenic diet for many years. So I thought, well, I'll give this another crack recently. So I'd done 3 months on a carnivore diet, which is obviously meat, pork, beef, chicken, lamb, fish, eggs, cheese, but anything that's animal produced like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
I only eat one
But
meal
you,
a day, but I've gone down from being nearly 17 stone. And now, like current weight is 14 stone 8 or something, which I've not been at for over 20 years. I'm just
yeah,
like lean and I still got
yeah,
muscle mass and everything and feel a lot better. And I'll revert back to ketogenic diet soon. But after 3 months of doing that, I was like, and my gut was just so much better as well. And I'm thinking, well, you're not getting fiber, you're not getting greens, you're not getting all this stuff that your gut supposedly needs. But do you know what? My gut was just happy with it. I was like,
yeah, exactly.
I've given it a
Yeah.
try. And I'm not
Our
ready
body has a
to
mind of
suggest
its own,
yeah, I'm not
you
suggesting
know?
it to anybody. I'm not prescribing it to anybody before anybody gets upset at home. I'm just saying I
Yeah,
tried it and it worked well for me, but it's obviously not for
yeah,
everybody. I think the first couple of times I tried it, I didn't get on with it and cut it off pretty soon. But this time around, I'm like, wow, yeah, really nice. So there's obviously a different way for everybody, but some common things which we've already discussed and Kim's mentioned are really good for us, aren't they?
yeah. And I would add, just based on your remarks there, is that listening to your body is
Yeah,
so important, because our body has a mind of its own. And sometimes what we think is not in alignment with what our body thinks. And so,
freelance,
exactly, get in alignment with your body.
freelance. Head, heart, and gut, the three
Yeah,
brains of the body.
yeah. There's a
Obviously,
great there's a great book
I may
called
have got a fourth one, but that's another matter.
yeah.
Blaine's trying not to laugh at you,
Yeah.
Blaine.
Look at him. I mean, he's a lean, mean fighting machine too.
Yeah.
He started working out. We got him a membership to a gym, and he started working out. What was it, about a year ago,
And
Blaine?
then I lost my keys and I lost the gym card and I
Oh
can't find the
no.
key. I can't-
But his body
Oh,
loves a workout.
yeah, no, it's good. I still go to the gym. I can. I do a gentle workout because I have to with fibromyalgia because I get so many injuries, little
Yeah,
injuries and stuff. So I have to go gently at it. But sometimes
yeah.
Yeah, me
I get
too.
carried
Listen to your
away.
body.
So you do get
Yeah,
I'm
carried
trying to
away
give myself a
sometimes, and
hernia.
you're like, you have to go, slow down, slow down. But yeah, no, I'm glad about that, Blaine. That's good. It's good for you, man.
Yeah.
yeah. So there's one other thing you put me in mind of is this book called "The Body Keeps the Score,"
Yes,
which is
got that.
by Bessel van der Kolk.
That's
You
it.
got it?
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah,
a great book. There's a lot of alternative type therapies in there, and he talks about the benefits
fantastic.
of all of them. So, highly recommend people take a look at that book. And neurofeedback is one of the therapies in that book. So,
Yeah,
you'll find a whole
yeah, I
chapter on it
remember
in there.
that. Yeah, my dad, bless him, left me about three and a half thousand books or something. He used to hoard them. He didn't even read most of them. He just packed them away in boxes. So once I'd sorted
Yeah,
them out, I'd given a load to charity, loads to local schools and local libraries and stuff. I just kept the ones that I thought can sell these, and some of them obviously I'll keep for sentimental reasons. But
yeah,
yeah, there was
yeah.
a whole pile of books on trauma and healing and stuff like that, and that was one of
That's
them.
a great book.
Yeah, it's a
And there's
fantastic.
another one called The Brain That Changes Itself, which is all about neuroplasticity. That's a great book as well, too. I'm trying to think of
Dr. Deutsch.
yeah, yeah,
But
Dr. Norman Doidge. Thank you.
let me just
Look at
make
that.
a
See,
note one.
there's a memory. That was
The
a memory
brain,
jumping out.
the brain that changes itself
Yeah.
by
Dr. Norman
Dr. Norman Voigt.
Doidge, Doidg.
Beautiful, got that. Right, thank you. That's in my show notes. I'll look that
Yeah.
one up.
That's a very easy
Norman Voigt.
read and very
Right,
good book. In fact, that's the book that put me on to neuroplasticity and looking for neurofeedback because I gained
okay.
an understanding of neuroplasticity from that book. Have we worn
All
you
right.
out, Blaine?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Right, I am going to look that one up tomorrow. Yeah, awesome. Because I've got so many books on healing. And another thing my beautiful dad left me, he got trained. We're talking about Tesla in the pre-podcast chat, weren't we? Now, Nikola
Yeah.
Tesla said, if you want to understand the entire universe, how it's composed, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So my dad, bless him, years ago, he said to me, he said, Dave, I'm getting into tuning forks. I was like, what? Are you going to tune pianos or something? He's like, no, I've got these tuning forks. And he was buying the best possible ones. My dad always bought the best of everything. He always bought the best quality. So he started getting these sets, and he's like, he went down south and he got trained with people that, he went for a couple of weekends away,
Awesome.
fully trained. He got his manuals, the certificates, and whatnot. And he started experimenting on me as his guinea pig. And I was like, the time was like, all right, I'm not sure what this is. And he was doing it like tuning fork to each ear, and I was like, oh, that's quite powerful. And because we both practice Reiki, he used to do Reiki for me sometimes as well, and we'd swap ideas and stuff. And
Hmm.
when he died, he left me his whole collection of tuning forks, and I didn't realize how many there were.
Wow, that's
Nice.
awesome.
About 30 odd sets. He must just
Wow.
stuffed his
I
entire
want tuning
pocket with
forks.
stuff like that.
Oh,
So he gave me a few sets a year or two before he passed. So I started working with him in conjunction with Reiki. So then I'm thinking, well, Reiki's the energy, and then the tuning forks are the frequency and the vibration. So now, when I have Reiki students here, shout out to Tony and Abby and Shipley and others around who are wonderful students, and they're also starting to work with tuning forks, is the fact that you can use the Reiki as the energy, the natural healing from the earth that channels through your body. And then the tuning forks, so there's ones for chakras, there's solfeggio ones, there's ones for specific parts of the body and so on, and scales. That's
Hmm.
the frequency and then the vibration. So you put it up to a person's ear for about 10 seconds, either side. That's the frequency. And then the vibration is ones you can hold to certain points of the body. So there's a wonderful, wonderful lady called Eileen Day McCusack who's literally amazing. And she's written several books on tuning forks, Francine Milford as well, where for specific conditions, and even books on how to use tuning forks for cats and dogs and people and all kinds of stuff, and for fibromyalgia and all this. And they've worked it out to an exact science. The frequency, the vibration of each fork is in hertz, so how many times it vibrates per second. So you can then appoint a tuning fork to a certain point in the body to retune it to where it should be. Kind of a bit like neurofeedback, but with a very, very
Hmm.
simple, effective way. So yeah, I'm
It's all
healing is
energy.
standard now. It is energy, frequency, and vibration. So if you can do a
That's
healing,
all energy. All three of
yeah,
them are energy, right? It's
it
just
covers
different
all
forms of energy.
three together.
running out of it.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So that you got your tuning forks like that. That one's a solar
Yeah,
plexus one.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
so you could put that on your solar plexus once you've
yeah.
get it going, or you can put it up to your ear like that and you can hear it, or you can just
Hmm.
direct the sound in. You can feel it swirling around in your
Cool.
body as well. So yeah, the tuning forks, and that it's just another like we were saying in the pre-chat as well about you talking about med beds and all this information from Tesla that's been
All
suppressed
informed
and
by
kept
this.
for
Hmm.
many, many, many decades. Well,
Yeah,
we are coming to a point where it's all coming back around. So yeah, I'm glad about
yeah.
that.
They're
Anyway,
releasing the science. They're releasing the information so that we can actually put it to use. It's all been buried and kept from us, really. Um,
yeah, it's
it's a
wonderful.
fascinating time to be alive. I will say, you remind me that on YouTube, there are videos with frequencies so that you can listen
Yes,
to them.
binaural,
Solfeggios,
solfeggio,
528 hertz, which is the miracle tone,
yes,
432, which is the healing
subliminals.
tone.
That's
And
right.
so they've got videos,
Solfeggios.
some of them 8, 9, 10 hours long with dark
Yeah, you
screens.
can
So that
listen
you
all
have
night
the
long,
TV in
can't
your
you?
room.
You can
You
literally
can play them on
listen
the
to them.
TV and sleep to them.
You can
It
literally
will,
listen to them all night long with a black screen on, and
all
you
night
can,
long. Yeah,
yeah.
they're amazing.
So,
So for those
so
listening, they may find that's a useful resource for them also.
yeah, and frequency healing is it's very powerful. Like that chakra set, I'll go for my chakras every day and just go through each chakra, and you can just
Yeah,
sense, you can just tell when there's a pull. At one point, it might
yeah,
be that root chakra. You might be having a lot of fatigue, or you might be in a place where you're really uncertain about life, or it could be the sacral where you're not sure about your relationships or your heart, or whatever point it is, or your throat, you're not communicating right, and you can feel the
mhm,
resistance when you get to a certain chakra because the frequency hits it and you're like, woof, I've got
yeah,
to work on this point. And the
yeah.
chakra system obviously is the easiest one to deal with, I reckon. So, right. So thank you for covering those points. Some really fascinating information in there. And yeah, Novosol curcumine's been one of my favorites for years, and I need
Yeah.
to get some more. I'm going to get paid
Yeah.
next, and it is fantastic
Grape,
stuff.
grapeseed
I've really
extract,
noticed. Yeah, I mean, I use
resveratrol.
resveratrol. Yeah, the NMN that I get, the capsules, have got
Yeah.
resveratrol in it as well.
Right.
So that's good, and that usually gives me a booster for the day. So that's where I can keep going most of the day. And then yeah, like I said, like GABA at night to relax, so ashwagandha in the evening, rhodiola
Yeah.
during the day because what I've had last 2 or 3 months or so with a lot of traumatic stuff coming up, a lot of bad anniversaries was my cortisol levels had spiked really badly. And if you know anything about fibromyalgia, you know that stress and cortisol, high adrenaline levels really bring on flare-ups.
And you know
So,
that happens when you're waking
uh,
up in the morning, right?
oh
So
yeah,
no
4 o'clock
no
every
coffee,
morning, wide
no
awake.
coffee within 90 minutes of waking up.
No, no, I wouldn't have. I'd have one cup of tea in the morning. That'd be it. But
Yeah.
no, literally
Yeah.
awake at 3, half 3 every morning, and a lot of
Yeah.
nights not getting back to sleep, and then having to get on
Yeah.
the next day and do stuff. I was
Right.
like, I could
I find those
say,
frequencies, listening to those YouTube frequencies helps with that.
yeah. Well, it was,
Being
and
able to get back to sleep. Yeah.
but that reduction in cortisol and adrenaline levels, which I think uh, we live in such a stressful, hectic, crazy world now that there's so many things that could trigger stress and stress hormones for people. It's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
in this day and age, you just have to look at a TV or look at your phone or look at your computer, and that's like, and you sometimes even you just go out and it's like the stuff that is just like going to trigger stress levels. So it's
Mhm.
important, I think, to mention to people at home as well, yeah, but especially with brain injury, you mentioned it, Kim, already, is to think about these levels and find
Yeah.
natural ways to reduce them down as
Right.
well.
I
Yeah.
gotta go, David. I gotta go lay down.
Blaine, it's been a pleasure to
I'm
see
falling
you.
asleep.
Thank you. I just said 10 minutes and here we are, like nearly an hour later. So thank you, Blaine.
Yeah.
You have a
All right,
lovely,
thank you.
peaceful, relaxing evening, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
again.
All right.
Thank you to Blaine. Bless him. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. And I said to him, 10 minutes, that's fine. We could do 10 minutes, but then he's done
Yeah.
really well. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we talked about aphasia a little bit. We talked about neurofeedback and about nicotinamide
Inflammation and
inflammation
about
as
gut health.
well. Yeah,
Nicotine. We can talk about nicotine.
yeah, please, because
Nicotine's kind of an interesting. There's some good videos on YouTube about nicotine as well. A doctor talking about using nicotine. So it turns out that, for those who don't know, nicotine is a natural substance. It is not poisonous. Uh, cigarettes are poisonous. Nicotine is not. Cigarettes have something like 6,000 chemicals in them, but when you remove the nicotine from the cigarettes, you don't have exposure to all those chemicals.
yeah.
The paper, the glues, all of the stuff that goes into it.
Mm.
And it's a very beneficial um, stimulant, essentially. Uh, Obviously, nicotine is used by people the world over to stop smoking. They use nicotine patches, they use nicotine chews, that kind of thing. Uh, just know that whether you smoke or not, uh, especially for people with brain injury, nicotine can be very beneficial for energy, for focus, for ability to sustain energy. I think Blaine didn't get a chance to put his nicotine patch on this morning. I'm not sure if he got it, but
Okay.
anyway, he there are limits. I'm sure everybody knows with brain injury, there are certain times when you just need to take a break. And
Oh,
so we've lost Blaine for the moment, but he'll be back.
no, he's good. He's good.
But he does use nicotine patches every day, and he
Mm.
started with the 7 milligram patch, which is the lowest strength patch. That patch, then, once you put it on, gradually administers nicotine over 7 milligrams of nicotine over a 24-hour period.
Right.
And so that's what he uses because he was not, he
Mm.
hasn't smoked in years. He did smoke at one point, but he hasn't
Mm.
smoked in years. And so
Right.
I will caution you that if you get carried away, a nicotine detox is painful.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You
Yeah.
don't, it's not a fun experience. If
No.
it happens to you, you want to drink lots of water and get it
Yes.
and flush out your system, but you will
Yeah.
be feeling very rough.
Oh, yeah.
If you use too much. So start very slow, give your body a chance to adapt. And we recommend the patches, but some people prefer the chew things or the
Mhm.
pouches, I guess they are.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the patch because it's a much more gentle infusion of
Mhm.
nicotine,
Yeah.
whereas the pouch is a very sudden, stronger sort of an impact.
Mm.
So, and I'm not crazy about the flavor, and
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
anyway.
No, I
But
tried.
it can be very useful. And there's a doctor whose name I can't remember off the top of my head who does a lot of videos about nicotine. So I suggest, look up nicotine doctor on YouTube and see what comes up.
Yeah, I've tried some of the pouches and they taste pretty rank. They're pretty
Yeah,
disgusting.
they are pretty rank.
What's happening
Yeah,
in
they
my
are
mouth? They're
nasty.
like,
Yeah,
no, but
yeah,
yeah, no, I did experience nicotine withdrawals once when I stopped smoking. I could smoke a pipe, and pipe tobacco is not nowhere near as bad as cigarettes. It's more
yeah,
naturally, organically grown.
yeah,
But at one time, I used to like stop for a month or two, and then I'll go back to it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, there was one time where I was like 2 weeks of like really grumpy and really kind of like, I just felt like
yeah,
I looked at that was nicotine withdrawals. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. No wonder
yeah.
people stop smoking. But
Well,
it's
the
not.
withdrawal, I will say, the overdose is as bad as the withdrawal. So,
Oh, yeah, but
yeah. And
mm.
and also, I will say this: it's an antiparasitic
Oh yeah, of
and an
course.
antiviral. Okay, and
Antifungal too.
it
And
has been said, and I don't have any substantive information behind this, but it has been said that people who smoked during COVID were much less likely to get it.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
So,
Another thing
for that
is,
reason.
yeah, another thing with nicotine for men is it actually increases testosterone levels,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which
So
is
there's
probably,
lots of, yeah, yeah.
like the government
Which is
looking
which
and
is a
stopping
pandemic
smoking.
these days. Low testosterone is a pandemic in men these days. So
Maybe for some of the younger generations, especially.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
for men, happens later in life than the menopause happens for ladies. But men have
Yeah.
something called andropause. Yeah,
Hmm.
andropause typically happens in the mid to kind of early to mid to late 60s, which is a natural decline in testosterone. So andropause is when a man's testosterone levels can go down.
Right.
So yeah, whereas obviously, typically a lady will hit perimenopause in the late 40s into early 50s and then menopause, but yeah, it happens quite a bit later for men, 10 to 15 years later. So it is a term. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as a male menopause. It's called
Yeah.
andropause, and it's about decreasing testosterone levels. But unfortunately, like you said, a lot of younger men these days, the testosterone levels are on the floor. And
Right. Well, and I don't know if you guys have the same problems we have here. I think you're a little bit more protected than we have been with the chemicals put in food,
oh yeah.
and the effect that that has on hormone. The endocrine
Yeah.
problems that have been
I,
resulting from that.
I don't
Okay.
think we're any
So,
protected. I think we just hide it better here. Or the government's,
okay.
they hide it very well.
Maybe so, maybe so. So, all of these things, the Nerf2 pathway, one of the things, not only does it activate all those switches to produce more antioxidants in your body and create that antioxidant response so that it triggers the anti-inflammatory benefits,
Yeah.
um, it is also the master switch of detoxification in your body. That
Oh,
pathway is the
okay.
master switch of detoxification in your body. So if you activate that pathway, it will detoxify you on a daily basis of what you're being exposed to
So
because
that's
if you take it like a daily supplement. So you're activating your body's ability to detox itself of heavy metals, of all and
well, yeah.
I'm
So
verging on political here, but
no, no,
I have
no,
opinions.
no, it's fine. I'm glad you brought that up, Kim, because essentially what you're
Yeah.
referring to is what you call autophagy, or we call autophagy here.
Yes,
Which
absolutely. Hmm.
is so two ways to get autophagy. Obviously, you talk about Nerf2 and other supplements that can do that
Hmm.
fairly quickly. For me, why I've fasted all these years is because fasting,
Yes.
after 3 days, when you
Right.
get out
Yep.
in 3 days, you go through what's called keto flu. So your body starts to shed and purge, and you get mild headaches and stuff. And in day three, your
Mhm.
body enters ketosis, like if you're taking MCT or bulletproof coffee or whatever. But after that, then your body creates autophagy, if you want to say it that way. And that
Yeah.
is essentially what you're talking about. The same is where I
Right.
describe it to people this way. Imagine on your computer, you've got the recycle bin, haven't you? Where you put stuff to delete it. And
Yeah.
it's still on your computer's drive in that recycle bin. It's like in your body, it's trapped. Toxins, heavy metals, parasites, all kinds of stuff is in there. But until you can actually empty that recycling bin out for good, like through fasting or Nerve 2 or other supplements, that is still going to be on in your body. So autophagy then brings about a way that that comes out through your gut. And I fasted for up to 21 days. And at that point, yeah, your body's shedding itself of parasites, which we all have.
Yeah.
Sorry, we all have
Yeah.
parasites in our bodies.
Yes, we do.
So at that
Yeah.
point, they're coming out and they're all dead.
Mhm.
And you've got everything else, heavy metals, dead cancer cells, all kinds of stuff coming out. So yeah, it's important that we talk about this. I mean, I've fasted all these years. I think I've had one cold in about 6 or 7 years, and that was
Yeah.
caused by emotional stress. But
Yeah.
reason I stay looking reasonably healthy, considering all the stuff I've got, all the problems I've got, is through fasting and diet. So in the same way that you and Blaine stay healthy with Nerve 2 and everything else is like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's two different routes to it. So
Yeah. So just so, you mentioned that. So think about this. Nerve 2 pathway activates the detox response and the natural antioxidant production.
mhm,
Activating the Nerve 1 pathway repairs and regenerates the mitochondria, the batteries of the cell, right?
mhm.
Activating with NAD plus activates the metabolic pathway. And so you get all three of these working together in every cell in your body. And the result is 16 times more powerful by adding the NAD. So
Wow.
these work, each
I
one of
didn't
them
know that.
works very well on its own. But when you put the three of them together, it amplifies the effect by 16 times. It's
Wow.
huge.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Maybe that's why I've
Yeah,
done so much better recently.
I would think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
taking NMN with resveratrol for the last few months as well.
yeah.
It's really seems to have made a massive difference. I also had a little dalliance into methylene blue on a
There
microdose
you
level.
go. There you go. There's that. Yeah.
Methylene
And then there's
blue.
DMSO, and then
Well,
there's
I don't do like 2 or 3 drops in the morning. I also have another one which is Lugol's iodine, which I'll microdose with that as well.
yeah, I use Lugol's. Yeah,
But yeah, I don't do it all the time. But then
yeah.
these are just little things, little hacks into the health arena where you can use something. And I'm always very skeptical when I start with something like, I'm like, this ain't gonna do anything. This is like a fabric dye. I'm gonna like 2 or 3
Yeah,
drops of fabric dye, and also it tastes like crap. And I'm like, whoa! And then it's like your tongue goes blue. You
yeah,
the toilet, you're peeing green the next day, and you're like,
yeah.
but then you feel a difference. You actually notice a difference, and especially with NMN and resveratrol, I noticed a massive difference and a
So
turn.
let me speak to NMN for a second.
Yeah, go on.
NMN is a precursor.
Mm,
Okay, it's a
yes.
precursor to NAD.
Hmm.
So what the product that I'm talking about that we have is NAD plus, which is not a precursor. It is
Hmm.
an activator. It turns your cell's ability on to produce NAD
Sure.
um, potently. I mean,
Right.
potently. It really activates the whole system. Okay.
Mm.
So, precursors are great if that's what you can do.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's a world of difference between a precursor and an activator because you're turning your body's
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
ability on to
Yeah.
heal itself
Hmm.
in a whole new kind of way.
Mm.
Um, anyway, just to make that point. But you do what you can do.
Yeah, well, that's what I could afford. So I was like, I did start
Yeah,
off
yeah.
and
No, I understand.
I bought the first time I got NMN, whatever it was, I got like quite an expensive one, and it worked really well. But then I
Yeah,
was like, no, I can't afford that again. So I got
yeah, yeah.
not a bargain basement version, but one that I thought one that had good reviews, and I thought, oh, that was to do, and it works. And yeah, but it's
Yeah.
essentially. rather than spending 60
You
quid a
do
month,
what you can do.
spending 15 quid a month or whatever. So it's, it's swings and roundabouts. But yeah,
I'll tell you,
if I had unlimited money for healthcare, I'd get the best of everything, obviously. But
I had an eye-opening experience with resveratrol.
oh,
So,
really?
I mean,
Just yeah.
yeah, I was using a liquid resveratrol.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
this was before the company I'm affiliated with came out with their Nerf 1 or their NAD. I was on the Nerf 2, which is the anti-inflammatory.
Hmm.
But uh I was and I had stopped taking the chemo at that point. And um I was starting to have symptoms. It was a very high stress period of time in my life when John was sick and John was on his way out basically, and I was having to deal with all of that. And my body was beginning to have symptoms of I don't know what. The doctor told me I was leaching micro blood clots. Okay.
Right, okay.
And this was an interesting experience in my life. I just started searching and searching and searching. And somehow in my searching, my research, I came across a European study that said that resveratrol worked at least as good as and perhaps better than chemo
Yeah.
for the disease that I had. It was a very specific study. And I thought, oh my God. And
Mm.
I got up and I went down to our local natural health food store and I found a bottle of resveratrol on the shelf.
Mm.
There were several options, and I said, which one? They said they pointed me at this bottle that was a liquid. Looked like it
Yeah.
was a little wine bottle. That's what it was looked like.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
came home and I took a tablespoon of that stuff. And it could easily have been placebo effect, but I within an hour was like, oh my God, that stuff works.
Yeah.
And then about an hour later, the effects were wearing off. So I took another tablespoon. I mean, I was
Well,
pounding this stuff. I was not following the directions. I'll tell you that right now. But I was getting relief every time I did it. Every time I did it, I got relief.
yeah.
And resveratrol is potent and
Oh, yeah.
it had an effect on me. I'm not exactly sure what its mechanism of action was, but it solved my skin problems that I was having at the time.
Mm.
And all of that activity stopped. And it got me through a very tough period in my time. And then it disappeared off the shelves as things that work are like
Yeah.
prone to
Well,
do in
I
the United
remember.
States.
Yeah, oh yeah. Tell me about it.
Mhm.
I've heard
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
Well, I remember hearing about it on the Truth About Cancer series
Hmm.
it's back, and it was like, oh, interesting. It's made from
Yeah.
like grape skins and stuff, and all this. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Grape seeds, stems,
really?
and
Really?
skins.
Would that work?
Mhm.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
And
I
it
mean,
is actually in our Nerf 1 activator now. That's one of the
oh,
ingredients.
okay. Right.
So,
So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say is something a placebo effect because I've done that with like stuff like I don't believe that something's going to work. I took a
yeah.
methylene and I'm like, this must be a hook on this. This stuff's been around since the 1880s or whatever, and it's like a fabric
Yeah.
dye. Oh, is that? And
Yeah.
then immediately, like within half an hour, I'm like, wow, I feel brighter, more alert, better. My body feels better. Second day, yeah, third day, yeah. Like, oh, I didn't,
Yeah.
I believed, I had a nocebo effect. I didn't think it was going to work. And it
Yeah.
make quite a difference. And the same with lots of other stuff. And it's like, well, I'm always skeptical about things before I start. But if they still work, they work. And then other stuff doesn't work. But anyway, I suppose that's
Well,
just,
I will make this point for your audience is that when you're using natural herbs like this, natural solutions like this, is be sure to give it time. And remember,
yeah,
you're
of
not
course.
using a hammer now, right? Which is
Mm,
going to do damage while it does what it's supposed to do, supposedly,
mm,
right? So bear in mind that you're using a natural solution that's going to work with your body naturally to achieve the result you're looking for. So when you try something new, be sure to give it 3 months at least to see what
yeah,
kind of effect it's going to have. Don't start and stop and start and stop
no,
just because you think it's not
that's
doing anything, because you may miss the point entirely.
That's a really good point to make, and unfortunately, I see this so often even with friends of mine and associates, people I know, and like, oh, I'm going to try this. This is the next thing. And then they try it for a few days or a week, and they're like, oh,
Didn't do anything.
it didn't do anything for me. And like, well,
Yeah.
no, you just have to stick at things because it's like the
Yep.
Western mindset is take a pill, it works immediately to curb the symptoms, right? A
Mhm.
painkiller curbs the pain, whatever. It takes a day or two, whatever. But then with natural or Eastern medicine and so on, yeah, you have to sustain it. Homeopathy, naturopathy, you have any form of treatments like that. You have to stick at it, and the results are more
Mhm.
gentle. But when they do come, you're assured that you can reverse a problem. It's the same with functional medicine, and I always feel sorry for people like that, where they're like, "Oh, I tried it for a week and it didn't work." No, you're
Yeah.
meant to stay in it for a month or 2 months or 3 months
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
really see the benefits. It was like Tutka, and Dr. Berg saying, well, you need to take this for like at least 3 to 6 months to see a real
Yeah.
difference. And I was taking it
So
first month, second month, third month, and then yeah, I was like, wow, yeah, now proper, keep on with it. But people give up too
so
easy
I like
because of the mindset.
they do. And I tell people, when you're dealing with pharmaceuticals, you're
Mm,
dealing with a chemical product,
yeah.
a synthetic chemical product. And
Mm,
the first thing it's going to do is if it's a brain med, okay, the first thing it's going to do is break through your gut brain barrier.
yep.
Not your gut brain barrier, but your brain barrier. It's going to do damage getting in to the brain.
Mm,
And so that's the first effect. With something natural, your body is going to adapt to it gradually over time. And your body is going to, and in adapting to it, if you're all out of whack, let's say, basically, and you introduce something new that's natural, let's think of this as oxidative stress. You've got this much oxidative stress, and this is where it needs to be, right? That comes down gradually, 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 gradually. And as your body is producing more of its own antioxidants or you're taking antioxidants, it's going to be coming up gradually, 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 gradually until you achieve balance again, right? And then
of
you'll
course.
notice it, right?
Mm,
Suddenly you'll notice it. It's kind of typically has a sort of a sudden effect, and you realize, oh, that is working.
yes.
So keep that in mind. Um,
Well, yeah, we used to
Give your
struggle.
body a chance to respond.
Yeah, we used to struggle with it so much back in the day because when first started the groups on Facebook, there was nothing anywhere on the internet. And 2008 and 9, myself and Gina Hubert and a few others as well. But we went through this so often uh, with people not arguing against allopathic medicine, against doctors' drugs, but saying, please look outside this. And they were like, no, I have to take this, I have to take this. And it took
Yeah,
years and years and years. And at that time, we couldn't discuss anything. Nobody could discuss CBD or cannabis oil or medical cannabis and stuff like that. It would just be like people would just kick up a fuss and like, you can't talk about that. It's not right. It's not right. And now look where we are. 20,
yeah. Well,
nearly
finally,
20,
it's
nearly
people are
20
beginning to realize they've
nearly
been
20
they've
years later, and now it's like
yeah.
all anybody talks about is like what alternative therapies and treatments are out. So, and you get just a few
Substances today.
you get just a few people talking about doctors' drugs and how much they need them and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, what a role reversal of like I mean, it's
yeah,
19 years this year since I first had mild traumatic brain injury in August.
yeah,
So how far it's moved on. It is astounded. It was so frustrating in the early years because we were just like got shut down. Every conversation got shut down. So we had to
yeah,
like gently try to introduce people into the way that will actually some of us have recovered without any doctor's drugs or any doctor's treatment or any help or anything from the establishment. And do you know what? We're doing just fine. And they're like, oh,
yeah,
no, no, well, you've got to have drugs to get better. And they're like, and then I used to challenge people, find me one person on the group out of 3,000, find me one person that's recovered using doctor's drugs. And
yeah,
all you could hear was like crickets, choo, choo,
yeah,
choo.
yeah.
There was nobody that had ever recovered by using doctor's
Right.
drugs. And that was the
Yeah,
proof of the pudding, really. So, I mean, you still need them, obviously, depending on the severity of brain injury. But in terms of long-term recovery and rehabilitation, they're only a very tiny part of the equation, aren't
yeah.
they?
And they
Yeah.
should be. you know.
Yeah, use sparingly, not
Yeah,
as,
very sparingly.
yeah, because back in those days, I used to, like my old favorite Japanese folklore saying was, when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah,
It was like,
exactly.
stroke. So,
Yep,
yeah, anyway,
exactly.
it's different now. So,
Exactly.
we won't bash the
Yeah.
doctors for too long. Is there anything else you'd want to discuss tonight for the
I
people at
think I
home?
probably
Yeah,
said all I can for one day. I'll let your guests have their life back.
cool. All right. Well, no, we've had a good long chat anyway, and we got to talk to
Yeah,
Blaine
yeah, we
too.
have. We
Yeah,
have.
I'll get your links afterwards. We'll post this video out tomorrow. I'm not.
Okay.
I've got a couple of good ideas who our next guest is going to be, and it might be quite an interesting one. More on a
Yeah,
spiritual angle next time, but I won't spill the beans yet because it's not signed and sealed and delivered.
not a done deal. Okay.
No, no, it'll transpire in the next week or two, or it won't. So
Okay.
I don't push or press anything these days. I get
Yeah.
emails all day long of people, "Oh, we've got this wonderful guest for you and this, that, and the other," and then a reply and there's no answer back, and I'm like, well, like whatever. But then the ones
Yeah.
that do
Yeah.
actually make contact and stay in touch, it's like, yeah, that's fine. So,
Yeah.
right, so only
Well, I'm
remains.
glad to see you back at it, David. It's good to have you back on your show and helping people and
Easier.
uh,
Well, someone's got
healing or healing.
yeah, someone's got to do it. But no, I'm enjoying it again.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I'll keep going. Maybe about one a month. I mean, this month's a freak with two, but yeah, one a month probably be all right. And yeah, we'll see where we go from
Yeah.
there. So it only remains for me to thank Kim and Blaine as well, who's taking a rest, deserved rest
Thank you.
for tonight. And thank you you've taught me a lot. And I'm sure people at home watching have learned a lot from hearing you talk as well. So, hopefully we'll be back, well, maybe the end of September, maybe early October with another podcast. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. And Kim, please stay behind with me for a minute afterwards. We'll have a good chat
Okay.
and say goodbye. And yeah, obviously you can find us, the main video cast goes out on Spotify. I'm starting to put them on YouTube. BitChute got closed down, so unfortunately that's gone. Yeah, no, well, it got shut down for us in the UK, so I can't use it anymore. But the podcast goes out on Apple, iTunes, Google, Audible, Spreaker, all these other ones. I can't remember all the names now. But anyway, you can find a podcast. If you just search for Post Concussion Syndrome podcast, that looks like it's frozen now. No, I'm back. Then you'll find it anyway. So hope you've enjoyed watching and listening as much as we've enjoyed recording this. So thank you for now, and we'll both wish you a good night and God bless. Cheerio.